Good morning. I understand you usually do a meditation a little bit later in the service, but we're going to do one now. You'll understand why. So the term metta bhavana translates as cultivating loving kindness. It refers to a Buddhist meditation that focuses on loving oneself but also loving our fellow human beings, even those who may be difficult to love. So I'm going to ask you to join me in a metta meditation. Okay, is that good? Yeah. First, sit comfortably with both feet on the floor and your hands in your lap. Close your eyes or fix your gaze on nothing in particular, and conjure an image of yourself. As you do so, quietly or silently say these words with me, breathing in and out intentionally as you do. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace with the world. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace with the world. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace with the world. Now think of someone close to you, someone who makes you smile, makes your heart fill with love, and quietly or silently say these words. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace with the world. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace with the world. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace with the world. Now, think of someone about whom you feel neutral, perhaps the barista at the Starbucks or the person who delivers your mail, someone in your sphere whom you might not otherwise notice. Imagine this person and quietly or silently say these words. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace in the world. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace in the world. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace in the world. Now, think of someone with whom you have a difficult relationship. Perhaps someone who has made you angry, or someone you might avoid interacting with if you happened upon them. Imagine this person and quietly or silently say these words, breathing in and out intentionally as you do. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace in the world. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace in the world. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be at peace in the world. Good morning again. So in August of 2020, several months into the pandemic, I was driving to Dominican University, a small liberal arts school not unlike QU, where I teach part-time, as you heard. The university is in River Forest, Illinois, a pretty suburb with big early 20th century homes and well-manicured lawns, just west of Chicago. About 6 blocks from campus on Thatcher Avenue, I passed a huge, like 5-foot by 7-foot, hand-painted plywood sign propped against a tree. It said, "Don't be too hard on yourself, we're all trying our best." The entire fall semester, I made a point of taking that route to Dominican just to pass that reassuring sign. So one of the many curious challenges of the pandemic was that we were forced to adapt to a new, unpredictable, and precarious world. And we did so sometimes with fear and tears and frustration, but often we did so with resilience and compassion and as much good humor and hope as we could muster, whether that meant wiping down our groceries or making masks for folks in the community or ordering meals from otherwise shuttered restaurants or attending virtual concerts or lectures or church on Zoom, something we'd never heard of before, most of us. As we were learning not only to cope, but to find perhaps some beauty, some pleasure, some connection in a difficult, isolating, and frightening situation, we were also learning that it was important to show some grace, to assume we were all, as the sign said, trying our best. So consciously or unconsciously, those of us who adapted to the pandemic in these ways drew on what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, seeking and exercising productive and mentally healthy responses to extraordinary and unsettling situations. While those with what Dweck identifies as a fixed mindset were more likely to resist making adaptive changes, to express more denial than acceptance, to more anger and helplessness than hope, more irritation than compassion. And those with a fixed mindset were likely to circle their wagons, perhaps to hoard toilet paper, cleaning products, and cans of beans. Since the early 2000s, Dweck has focused on exploring and understanding human motivation, pioneering this study of fixed and growth mindsets. Her work has been applied most often to and in educational fields, which makes sense because studies show that these mindsets form very early in life. And children become teens and then adults in the habit of defaulting to either a fixed or a growth mindset. The takeaway, Dweck and other researchers argue, is that encouraging students to engage a growth mindset may lead to a healthier approach not only to learning, but to life. For example, in a 2015 TED Talk, which some of you may have seen, Dweck celebrates a high school that does not mark student work with an F, which reflects a fixed mindset, but instead uses the grade of not yet. In Dweck's words, if you get a failing grade, you think, I'm nothing, I'm going nowhere. But if you get the grade of not yet, you understand that you'll be on a learning curve. It gives you a path into the future, she says. Dweck laments that traditional educational paradigms overvalue grades, class rankings, and test scores, which fix a student into what she calls the tyranny of now, rather than affirming the possibility, the potential implicit in what she calls the power of yet. While accomplishments are certainly important and significant and necessary for a strong resume, believing in one's ability to improve, to value learning and self-development is actually more motivating and therefore more likely to inspire hard work, persistence, and a spirit of inquiry. So Taylor is going to share with you a graphic that gives you a pretty simple breakdown of growth and fixed mindset, and some of you may have picked up that half sheet when you came in as well. As you can see, the student with the growth mindset looks forward, collaborates with others, seeks creative and challenging ways to engage and learn, regardless of previous successes or failures. While the student with the fixed mindset is limited by a static perspective, a sense of powerlessness, and a tendency toward either-or thinking. Not surprisingly, fixed mindset students are less likely to embrace challenges to what they perceive as definitive success, when ironically such challenges could actually lead to enriching learning experiences. For example, they may enroll in a class that they know they will do well in, rather than risk doing poorly in a class that may threaten their A student identity. Or conversely, if they perceive that they are, quote, bad at a subject, they may lack initiative, confidence, or motivation to try to improve. Because as Dweck's colleague David Yeager explains, we are socialized to think of these descriptions as fixed labels of identity that cannot be changed. The growth mindset students, on the other hand, may be keen to sign up for a class or an activity that does not promise a safe or predictable outcome, perhaps joining a debate team precisely because the thought of public speaking terrifies them, or taking a literature class about an author they've never heard of. So from an early age, those of us who rely on a fixed mindset tend to see ourselves and each other in unyielding and finite terms, accepting a characterization often imposed on us by outside forces. While those with the growth mindset see ourselves and each other as works in progress, imperfect and ever-evolving human beings navigating the world with curiosity. As one writer put it, at the heart of what makes the growth mindset so appealing is that it creates a passion for learning instead of a hunger for approval. I'm reminded here of Albert Einstein, who famously rebelled against the authoritarian demands and expectations of his German Catholic elementary school. Well, later, Einstein adeptly revised the perception of failure, a notion often associated with embarrassment, shame, and defeat, when he described failure as success in progress. Thanks for sharing that graphic, Taylor. It's fairly easy to understand the significance of Dweck's theory in the context of education, and I have to say my mom's voice has, of course, been echoing in my mind. As many of you know, she taught fourth grade here in Quincy for nearly 40 years, and her growth mindset philosophy was to meet each student where they are and help them see that they can grow from there. The process of teaching and the process of learning, she believed, are what's important. For process, which can be exciting and fun and energizing, but also messy and fraught and complicated, moves us forward. And Dweck, as well as other researchers, assert that our inclination to one or the other mindset constantly plays out not only in our academic lives, but also in our social systems, outside of school, in the workplace, in politics and government, in houses of worship, and in our interactions with friends and family. It's important, too, to recognize that our mindsets are malleable, that we have access to both at any time. We can engage a growth mindset even if for years we've gravitated toward a fixed mindset, just as we can start a new exercise routine or learn a foreign language at any point in our lives. And even if we are usually growth mindset oriented, we can also at times fall into the couch potato comfort of a fixed mindset, especially when the world bombards us with challenges we just don't think we have the stomach to face. And goodness knows, the last few years have brought on challenges with the capital CH. But without challenges, without mistakes, as Einstein believed, we cannot become our better selves. In her 2018 book titled The Person You Mean to Be, social psychologist Dolly Chugh encourages readers to examine their own mindsets, to explore their tendencies to seek comfort and validation in who they think they're representing to the world, rather than to look honestly and compassionately at how we can be and do better in the world. You see, Chugh's thesis rests on the idea that we often bifurcate how we identify ourselves and how we see others as either good or bad people. And y'all know the vast majority of us are like, yeah, I'm a good person, right? All good people here, right? And because we all like a little validation, we are likely to surround ourselves with people who fit our tidy definition of what a good person is. We watch media and read books that reinforce these ideas and steer clear of those that don't. So aren't we then actually slipping into the comforting solace of a fixed mindset disguised as a growth mindset? Well, Chugh writes that when we adhere protectively to this kind of identity, we are walking on what she calls "I'm a good person" eggshells, which could break at any moment. Chug argues that in clinging to that really attractive but static and vague identity of being good people, we deny the potential within us to become better people. We astutely avoid opening ourselves up to criticism, to different perspectives, to real self-reflection. And we have a really hard time acknowledging that we don't see the whole picture or that we may have screwed up. When our good identity is threatened, perhaps if someone confronts us about something we've said or done, we are likely to defend our good name rather than explore what grain of truth may have led to that criticism, and potentially may have helped us to see ourselves more clearly, and therefore may have provided us an opportunity to grow, to become better people, to become more fully ourselves. Or to paraphrase another quote attributed to my friend Albert Einstein, adversity, if we look at it boldly and vulnerably, introduces a person to herself. Let me share a story. When I was a graduate student at the University of Missouri, I taught the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in a class surveying American literature. You might remember that a main character in the book is an escaped slave, Jim, to whom Twain and Huck refer to with the N-word. In fact, Twain uses that word over 200 times in the book. When I first taught this novel in the late 1980s, I read passages of the text aloud to the class as written on the page. In other words, I used the N-word in class. There were no gasps, there were no complaints, no repercussions, and I didn't think a thing about it, for these were the words on the page, not my words. Well, at the end of the semester, I was reading the student evaluations of the course when my blood ran cold. A student wrote that he'd enjoyed the class, but he was disappointed. That was the word he used, that a teacher would use that term, that it made him feel uncomfortable and even threatened in the classroom. While the evaluations were supposed to be anonymous, this student had signed his name. He was the only African-American student in the class. My first response was defensiveness. This is what Dolly Chugh calls the red zone, where we retreat into preserving our good person status at all costs, which in my case involved a series of rationalizations and deflections. I'm a good person, I'm a good teacher, I didn't mean any harm. The problem must be with the student. He was too sensitive, he was overreacting. His discomfort couldn't be my fault because I'm a good person. But eventually, I came to acknowledge that I had screwed up. This was the first literature class I'd been invited to teach, and it had gone well overall. But what I remember clearly, all these years later, is that my language, my actions, had made a student uncomfortable because I had considered only my perspective. Also, all these years later, I still feel both humbled and grateful that that student shared his story with me because those lines on a student evaluation have informed my teaching ever since. So we did the Metta Bhavana meditation earlier, and I would be curious to know if you found the last stage of the meditation difficult, the part in which we think of someone we don't care for and wish them well. If so, there's some wry smiles going around the church right now. If so, you are not alone. In a podcast I listen to regularly, a meditation teacher shared that she required her students of a loving kindness class to use that mantra, may you be healthy, may you be happy, may you be at peace with the world, throughout their day, particularly during difficult situations. One student reported that after someone cut him off in traffic, the student shook his fist furiously out the window at the offending driver and yelled, "May you be healthy, may you be happy, may you be at peace with the world." So yeah, practicing loving kindness is easy until it's not, especially in this ongoing unscripted experiment of real life, which requires interactions with other imperfect human beings who bring to every encounter their own life experiences, their own joys and sorrows, their own insecurities and convictions. It's easy to think we're good people, but hard to apply some of these good people practices in real life. But we do perhaps make some progress toward common understanding, toward authentic loving kindness for ourselves and others when we try. Or as Zen Buddhist teacher Suzuki Hiroshi says, you are perfect the way you are, and there's room for improvement. To that end, Dolly Chugh proposes a modest but practical growth mindset adjustment, Why not just let go of seeing ourselves as good? Remove that unrealistic and perfectionist label from our self-identity, and let's try to see ourselves as good-ish. Which really calls on, she points out, calls on us to set a higher standard, requires us to lean into difficult situations with curiosity instead of criticism or anger, to engage in self-awareness even as we leave our egos at the door. A goodish mindset gives us space both to aspire to self-improvement, but also to expect failure and disappointment along the way, to be uncomfortable, to be embarrassed, to own our mistakes or misunderstandings, and therefore to learn how to become better people. It would follow then that a goodish mindset opens us up to see to the potential goodness in others and engage even in our difficult relationships with grace, compassion, humility, perhaps even forgiveness. For if you and I can grow and become better people, doesn't it make sense that others can as well? Because really, aren't all relationships, aren't the threads of the interdependent web of life sustained and strengthened by our recognition of our shared and imperfect humanity and of the power of love generated by and for that shared humanity? It's a beautiful paradox, really. We are one distinct species, but we are also distinct individuals. And we are all, individually and together, at once vulnerable and strong, flawed and astonishing. I embrace Whitman's words, "We contain multitudes," and simultaneously the words of Maya Angelou, "We are more alike, my friends, than we are different." And at the center of this paradox, we find love and connection, intangible and immeasurable, but essential to the complexity of who we are as vibrant and vulnerable human beings, marvelously wrought, as the hymn goes. It won't surprise you to hear that I happened to be reading Chug's book in August of 2020, and I realized that hand-painted message on Thatcher Avenue, "Don't be too hard on yourself, we're all trying our best," reflects some key elements of being goodish. Implicit in the message is the importance of compassion for ourselves and others, the understanding that each of us brings our own imperfect and incomplete perspectives to the world, and the capacity within each of us for humility and grace as well as growth. Thank you.